Some say the fountain be naught more than legend, false as a mermaid's kiss. Others whisper of a curse that'll leave you as dead as old Ponce here. What be the truth of it? I'll show you.
Aqua de Vida.
The end of 3, Johnny has this map, that he steals from Barbossa, and he ends up on a little boat, and he's got the map, and he unfurls it, and it's for the Fountain of Youth.
It's something they talked about early on, when they were talking sequels. They talked about the Fountain of Youth and Ponce de Leon, and with P4, it was like the gates were reopened.
Well, first, though, the biggest challenge is designing it. What is the Fountain of Youth? What do you make it look like? Do you want it dark and eerie? Do you want it light and beautiful?
When you're spending the whole movie heading to a location, there's a lot of pressure as to what that location's going to look like, what the design of it will be. We must have had maybe 50 different versions, at least, with these incredible artists, all led by John Meyer.
When we started out, we did drawings of a natural fountain, then a natural fountain that had been carved by man and embellished, and then things that were more man-made over a fountain. But instantly, everyone said, no, it should just be a natural thing.
John created this incredible stone structure that was a circle, like the circle of life. And it was so elegant and simple. I mean, it's funny, how it always is with these big ideas. You find the simple idea is the one that works.
The rediscovery of the Fountain of Youth can't just be in the same type of location that we've shot in the past. So we wanted this to feel different. So we picked Kauai in Hawaii to shoot, and it gives it a completely different feel.
Kauai is so beautiful, and there's so many wonderful places. And the funny thing is that we missed the Blue Cave on our first 2 rounds of scouting. You look down into this valley with this beautiful blue glimmering water, this gigantic mouth of a cave, and it's just like, well, this is fantastic.
Roll camera.
With a story that involves something as slightly romanticized and as mythologized as the Fountain of Youth, you can well imagine that you need very dramatic, very powerful, emotional landscapes that lead you to wherever that place is, which is ultimately a studio in London.
We're at Pinewood Studios in England, and I'm really excited because behind us is the Bond stage. We're building the Fountain of Youth there.
It's just nice to be back at Pinewood, where I made my first movie ever when I was, my goodness me, 48 years ago.
I cannot believe that the Fountain of Youth is shooting where I played the range operator on one of the submarines in The Spy Who Loved Me. I feel that my career has come full circle.
The cave was built with a removable plug in the roof so that we can pull that out and actually put Johnny Depp on wires to lift him up through the roof of the cave for when he gets taken through the water.
3, 2, 1, sword and jack.
The idea was this was a natural formation that some civilization built a temple around it. And I thought if there was a giant tile floor and it had just cracked over the years, when you walk on a sidewalk and you see a tree root grows under it, snaps the sidewalk. But instead of snapping it up 6 inches, it snapped it up 4 feet here and 5 feet there. And I thought that would just give it interesting playing areas for all the fighting sequences. It just gives different heights of architecture for people to be fighting off of and jumping off of and playing around.
That's a director's dream, to be on that stage and directing hundreds of people in this sort of big climactic moment. It was really exciting.
And cut.
When I first saw it, I was so blown away by the size of it. But when I saw in detailed columns, those female statues, everything looked so realistic.
Okay, you ready, Scott? Never gonna drop.
We've got 3 columns that collapse in here. We've rigged them on hinges so that we can reset them. They're actuated by hydraulics, so we tilt them over very slowly, and then gravity takes over, and then they free fall, but they're still linked together, so we know exactly where each piece is going.
3, 2, 1, drop.
There's very little fake and artificial used on this set. All the hanging plants are real, brought in from Holland. From Malaysia, we brought in liana vine, and it's a bit like a big jigsaw puzzle, but it's layers. So you start off with the mosses, you then get the vines, then you get everything in, which then just brings it to life. I think it's close on 5,000 square metres of mosses on here now, and a few thousand ferns and roots and everything else. There's an awful lot of work that's gone into it.
So beautiful, isn't it? It's not a blue screen. This is real.
We have the water effects around, so we've had to pump water into the stage and filter it and heat it. And we have mist effects, waterfalls, and fog effects. The dry ice sticks very close to the set. The mist sort of drops and hangs at a certain level, and then we've got fog machines. So it's many levels that create a really good look.
And we have these people coming out of the smoke and steam, and we had to build elevators to get them to come up. So it's an enormous undertaking. It's a wonderful sequence.
And the fights are incredible, and we're all fighting. And we've all got individual amazing fights.
I'll have one last fight, by God. Kill them all!
The fight sequences are scary because they are very hard to remember. But we have brilliant stuntmen with us, and I'm fighting near the big pools of water, which I actually fall in eventually.
The trickiest thing about the Fountain of Youth work is that there's water everywhere.
The water started to piss me off a little bit, don't get me wrong, do you know what I mean? You can only take so much of walking in soggy water. But it's again, it's the scale of it and the vastness of it and the craftsmanship. You know, I think everyone deserves a massive pat on the back.
I've never been involved in not even a full scene, just a section of a scene, over and over again, for, 6.5 weeks.
This land and all its attendant mystical properties is hereby forever claimed in the glorious name of His Majesty, King George.
The Fountain of Youth is sort of where the whole film comes together at the end, and so there's quite a mixed bag of stuff for visual effects. It's a pretty amazing set, but we have to extend it even further to open it up and make it into this sort of large, natural thing that has been somehow adapted by a civilization. It's centered around the fountain itself.
Here you can see not only where the set ends, but actually where the live-action photography ends. This is the frame line. We've actually added a tilt. And so here, we're starting to extend it with geometry, and then things slowly get painted, vines get added, and things slowly get balanced. Light rays go through.
The set was, almost 360 degrees, so we ended up doing less work in there than we had thought we would have to. But the majority of our work was focused mostly on Blackbeard's death.
And action. Fan on, starts to swirl.
At the end of a film like this, you're going to kill off the villain in a nasty way. So it makes it a challenge creatively to say, what can we do a little bit differently on this one?
We pitched a few ideas to Rob and kind of came up with this idea of the waters sort of took Blackbeard's life.
And the water, we initially thought is going to treat him like acid, like hot acid, and it's just going to rip and tear and burn all of his flesh away in this swirling mass of blood and clothing. So I'm doing that and sending him down to Ben Snow, the effects supervisor.
So this is sort of what we started with. It's Ian, it's a really rough version of him against a blue screen that we've taken, put over a temporary background. So even when it's the skeleton, it's Ian's performance driving the skeleton. And then we started with a digital double of him.
Looks a bit like him in this case, but then saying, okay, how do we make that look like he's sort of liquefying and vaporizing? So this was sort of getting stuff streaming off him. You can see we've got a sort of outer shell of the tornado. This is like a version of what's going on underneath, and so maybe a little bit extreme, yeah. And then we sort of added a little bit of a ripple effect on that, so it sort of starts looking like it's being attacked by colourful bees instead of actually liquefying. But of course we realised that his clothes have to go. It can't just be his skin dissolving. So then we got into some simulations and we started ripping his clothes off and actually parts of his skin. This may be a little bit too gory, but see how his eyeball's hanging out there, which is kind of cool. And then this was sort of the under
version, you can see we've got some hair sims, and it starts to look a bit like confetti, but you can get a sense of where it's going.
I came up with something that was kind of swift and savage, and that'll leave a big impression.
And action. Rob is a really wonderful, fun collaborator. He always says the best idea wins. So whether it comes from me or from a PA, the best idea wins. And that's always a great way of making movies.
Walt Disney, copyright 2011.